Imagine waking up every morning and the very first words you hear are not from the world, not from your phone, not from the news, but from yourself. Now ask, what are those words? Are they building you or are they breaking you? Because here's the truth. Every single day, before anyone else gets the chance, you are the first voice you hear. And that voice either tells you you're capable, you've got this, today is yours, or it whispers, you're not enough, you can't handle it, why even try? The scary part, most people don't even realize they've been tearing themselves down long before the world had the chance to. Think about it. How many times have you spoken words to yourself that you would never say to someone you love? You wouldn't look at your best friend and say, you'll never make it. You wouldn't tell your child, you're not worthy. Yet every single day, countless people wake up and declare war on themselves in silence. And that war is invisible. It doesn't leave scars on the outside, but it erodes everything on the inside. But what if starting today you chose to change that? What if you realized that your voice, the words you repeat every single day, is the most powerful weapon you will ever have? Because the truth is, the way you talk to yourself is the way you live your life. It's the lens through which you see the world. It decides whether you step into challenges with courage or collapse under the weight of your own doubt. Here's the secret. Your brain believes what you feed it. Speak strength, and you will walk stronger. Speak peace, and you will find calm. Speak growth, and you will rise. But if you feed it fear, you will shrink. If you feed it doubt, you will hesitate. If you feed it defeat, you will live defeated. So the question is, what are you telling yourself every day? Are you handing yourself over to fear, or are you planting words that build resilience, grit, and unstoppable courage? Because every morning is an opportunity. Every morning is a reset. Every morning you have the chance to tell yourself 9 simple truths, 9 powerful reminders that can shift your entire reality if you dare to live by them. And I'm not talking about fluffy, feel-good quotes you'll forget in an hour. I'm talking about reminders that anchor you, shape you, and protect you from the world that's waiting to test you the moment you step outside your door. These 9 truths are the difference between letting life happen to you and standing tall no matter what life throws at you. So let me ask you again, what is the first thing you tell yourself when you wake up? Because by the end of this, I promise you'll never let your day begin the same way again. When you wake up in the morning, the very first battle begins before your feet even touch the floor. It isn't with the world outside, it isn't with your responsibilities, and it isn't with other people, it begins with the voice inside your own head. That voice, whether you notice it or not, is already speaking to you. Sometimes it's soft, sometimes it's loud, but it's always there. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: what is it saying? Because the truth is, the first voice you hear each day is your own. And the scary reality is that for many people, that voice has been their worst enemy for years. Think about how many times you've told yourself you're not ready, not capable, not enough. How many times you've convinced yourself to quit before you even try. Think about the silent conversations you've had with yourself in moments when no one else was around. Conversations where you were cruel, unforgiving, doubtful. If you spoke those same words to a friend, they would probably walk away from you forever. But you have tolerated speaking them to yourself every day for years. And whether you realize it or not, those words have shaped you. They've built the walls around what you think is possible for you. Now pause for a moment and flip the perspective. Imagine if every morning you woke up to a voice that spoke differently. A voice that said, you can handle today. You're stronger than you feel. You've already survived so much and you're still here. How much different would your days look? How much stronger would you walk into that meeting, that classroom, that relationship, that challenge? How many times have you been one powerful reminder away from stepping into the version of yourself that's been buried under doubt? Here's the thing. Most people don't realize our words are not harmless. They're not just sounds in our head. They are instructions to the brain. They are commands to the subconscious. Every single time you say something to yourself, your mind begins to accept it as true. Tell yourself enough times that you are weak and your body will follow. Tell yourself enough times that you are capable and you will start acting as if you are. It's not magic. It's conditioning. Just like lifting weights builds muscle, repeating truth builds resilience. But what most people don't understand is that negative self-talk is also a form of conditioning. If you keep feeding yourself poison, you cannot expect to grow strong. The world is already hard enough. Life will hand you difficulties, setbacks, heartbreaks, and losses. People will doubt you, criticize you, underestimate you, and sometimes even betray you. That's reality. But here's the question, why make the fight harder by becoming your own enemy? Why walk into the world already defeated by the words you've whispered to yourself before the day has even begun? Imagine a soldier heading into battle. He puts on his armor, he sharpens his weapon, he prepares his mind. Why? Because he knows the fight is coming. Life is no different. Every morning when you wake up, the fight is waiting for you. And your words, your inner voice, is either your armor or your weakness. The words you speak to yourself are either the reason you rise or the reason you collapse. Now let me take you deeper. Think about the most powerful, life-changing moments you've ever experienced. Maybe you had to walk away from someone who hurt you. Maybe you had to push through a failure that felt like the end of everything. Maybe you had to rebuild yourself after losing something you thought you couldn't live without. In those moments, there was always a choice. You either told yourself, I can't do this, I'll never get through it, or you whispered, one step at a time, keep going, don't stop. And whichever voice you listened to determined your outcome. That's why this matters. Because when you control that voice, when you feed it strength, courage, patience, and truth, you set the tone for your entire life. And I don't mean just saying nice things to yourself once in a while. I mean making it a ritual. Every single day, telling yourself the reminders that anchor you when the storm comes. Because the storm will come. No one escapes that. The question is, will you be ready? What makes this powerful is that you don't need anyone else to give you permission. You don't need the world to validate you. You don't need people to clap for you. You don't need someone to stand in your corner every morning telling you you're capable. You already have the most powerful voice you'll ever need, your own. But you have to use it. You have to train it. You have to remind yourself of who you are before the world tells you who you're not. So I ask you again, what do you tell yourself every day? Because if it's words of doubt, fear, and defeat, you are handing over your power without even realizing it. But if it's words of strength, truth, and resilience, then no matter what the day brings, you've already won the first battle. And when you win the battle inside, the world outside doesn't stand a chance. Every single human being carries around an inner dialogue. It never stops. Even when the world is silent, your mind is speaking. It comments on your choices. It judges your reflection in the mirror. It reminds you of your failures. It replays your mistakes. And sometimes it whispers fears about the future. That voice has the power to either destroy you or rebuild you. The tragedy is that most people never realize they can control it. They go through life listening to whatever comes, believing that the voice in their head is the ultimate truth. But the truth is this, your voice can be trained, it can be rewired, and the most powerful way to do that is through daily self-affirmation. Now, let's clear something up. Affirmations are not about repeating cheesy lines or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's not about lying to yourself or living in denial. Daily affirmations are about speaking deliberate truths into your life until your mind accepts them as reality. It's about feeding your brain the words that will make you stand taller, fight harder, and push longer. Because the reality is, your brain doesn't care if what you're telling it is positive or negative. It will believe whatever you repeat often enough. If you tell yourself every day, I can't handle this, your brain will look for evidence to support it. If you tell yourself, I'm capable, I can get through this, your brain will also look for evidence to support it. That is the raw power of affirmations. They create the lens through which you experience the world. Science backs this up. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, shows us that repeated thoughts form new pathways. Imagine walking through tall grass. The first time, it's difficult. The grass resists. The second time, it's a little easier. By the 100th time, you've created a trail. Your thoughts work the same way. Repetition creates mental pathways. Negative self-talk builds highways of doubt and fear. Positive affirmations build highways of courage and resilience. The question isn't whether you are forming pathways. The question is, which ones are you walking every day? Most people underestimate the influence of self-talk. They believe their environment, their circumstances, or the people around them hold the most power over their mindset. But here's the reality. You spend the most time with yourself. No one speaks to you more than you do. And that means no one has more power to shape your reality than you. You may not be able to control what people say about you, but you can absolutely control what you say about yourself. And in the long run, that matters far more. Think about someone who has faced repeated rejection. Maybe it's in their career, their relationships, or their dreams. The external message is loud. You're not wanted. You're not good enough. Now imagine if that person also repeats those words to themselves. What chance do they have of pushing forward? But imagine if, instead, after every rejection, they told themselves, this is not the end. I am still worthy. I will find my way. That simple shift in language changes everything. The rejection no longer becomes proof of failure. It becomes proof of resilience. The external world doesn't take the final say because their internal voice is stronger. Daily affirmations also work because they create alignment between identity and action. When you tell yourself, I am disciplined, you start to behave like someone who is disciplined. When you tell yourself, I am strong, your body responds by holding itself with strength. Identity shapes behavior, and affirmations shape identity. This is why they must be spoken daily, because identity is not formed in one moment. It is built brick by brick, day after day. But here's the key. Affirmations must be intentional. You can't just repeat empty phrases. You have to choose words that speak to your deepest struggles and your greatest strengths. If you struggle with fear, you need to remind yourself, I am courageous. Fear does not control me. If you struggle with self-worth, you need to affirm, I am enough. I am valuable. If discipline is your weakness, you need to declare, I choose discipline over excuses. These words are not random. They are medicine. And just like medicine, they must be taken consistently to work. Another mistake people make is expecting instant results. They say an affirmation once or twice and then quit when they don't feel transformed. But this isn't about a quick fix. It's about rewiring years of negative programming. Think about how long you've been criticizing yourself, doubting yourself, or belittling yourself. 1 week of affirmations cannot undo years of mental habits. But consistency can. Over time, your self-talk begins to shift. And once that shift happens, everything else follows. Daily affirmations also prepare you for battle. Life is unpredictable. You don't know what the day will bring. A setback, a disappointment, an unexpected problem. If you've spent your morning affirming strength, peace and resilience, you meet that problem with a different energy. Instead of crumbling, you adapt. Instead of panicking, you remain grounded. Instead of quitting, you push through. Why? Because you already told yourself you could, and your mind listened. The most powerful part of affirmations is that they belong entirely to you. They cannot be taken away. No matter how much the world doubts you, no matter how loud the noise around you gets, you have the final word. You decide what truth you live by. And that decision, repeated daily, can transform your life. So when people ask why affirmations, the answer is simple. Because words shape belief, belief shapes identity, and identity shapes destiny. Your life follows the direction of your thoughts, and affirmations are the steering wheel. The question is, are you steering toward strength, or are you drifting toward destruction? Every day you get to choose, and that choice begins with the words you tell yourself when no one else is listening. There are 9 truths that, if you repeat them daily, will anchor you in strength, no matter what the world throws at you. They are not just words, they are a way of living, a set of principles that can carry you through every storm. Each one is a reminder of what you are capable of, even when you forget, even when life tries to convince you otherwise. The first reminder is simple. I am stronger than I feel. Feelings are powerful, but they are not always accurate. You can feel weak and still be strong. You can feel afraid and still act with courage. You can feel exhausted and still keep moving forward. Too often people let feelings decide their future, forgetting that emotions pass, but decisions remain. When you tell yourself you are stronger than you feel, you separate your identity from your temporary state. You remind yourself that the strength you carry is not dictated by a single bad moment, a single rough day, or a single setback. It's deeper than that. It's built into you from all the times you've survived what you thought you couldn't. The second reminder, my peace is my power. In a world that constantly tries to provoke you, to pull you into arguments, to get a reaction out of you, peace is not weakness. It's control. Anyone can explode in anger. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can be dragged into chaos. But the one who chooses calm, who refuses to be moved by noise, who keeps their composure even under fire, that person holds real power. Your peace is your shield. It keeps you from wasting energy on battles that don't matter. It protects your mind from being consumed by negativity. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you are telling the world, you don't control me, I control me. The third reminder, I don't need validation to know my worth. Too many lives are wasted chasing approval, waiting for someone else to say, you're good enough, you're worthy, you matter. But the truth is, your worth was never meant to be given by others. It's yours by birth. If you depend on validation, You will always be at the mercy of people's opinions. Opinions that can change in a second. When you affirm that you don't need validation, you free yourself. You stop shrinking yourself to be liked. You stop begging for recognition. You begin to live in alignment with who you are, not who others expect you to be. And ironically, that is when respect naturally follows, because people respect those who respect themselves first. The fourth reminder, I choose discipline over excuses. Excuses are easy. Discipline is not. But excuses will always keep you stuck where you are, while discipline will take you where you want to go. Every time you wake up and repeat those words, you set the tone for your day. You remind yourself that progress doesn't come from waiting until you feel like it. It comes from showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. Discipline builds consistency, and consistency builds results. Excuses build nothing but regret. The fifth reminder, I can handle what comes my way. This is not about pretending life will be easy. It won't. Things will happen that you didn't plan for, didn't want, and don't understand. But this affirmation is about reminding yourself of your ability to adapt. You have already survived your hardest days, the ones you thought would break you, and here you are, still standing. So when you tell yourself you can handle what comes your way, you build unshakable confidence in your own resilience. You stop fearing the unknown, because you know that no matter what it is, you'll figure it out. The sixth reminder, I refuse to shrink for anyone. There will always be people who feel threatened by your light, your ambition, your strength. They will try to make you smaller so they can feel bigger. They will try to guilt you into dimming yourself so they don't have to confront their own insecurities. But the moment you shrink, you betray yourself. When you affirm that you will not shrink, you give yourself permission to stand tall, to take up space, to live fully without apology. You declare that your presence is not negotiable. The seventh reminder, I learned from yesterday, but I live today. Regret is heavy, and dwelling on the past keeps people trapped in cycles of guilt and shame. But every mistake you've made is not a prison, it's a lesson. When you affirm this truth, you give yourself permission to use yesterday as a teacher, not a life sentence. You stop replaying what you cannot change, and you start focusing on what you can. Life is happening now, and if you keep looking backward, you'll miss the opportunity standing right in front of you. The eighth reminder, I control my reactions, not the world. You can't control what people say. You can't control what happens around you. You can't control the challenges that come, but you always control your reaction. That is where your power lies. When you internalize this reminder, you stop wasting energy trying to fix the uncontrollable. Instead, you invest that energy into mastering yourself. And once you master yourself, the world outside loses its grip on you. The ninth reminder, I am still becoming, and that is my strength. Too many people punish themselves for not being there yet, whatever there means. They see growth as a destination, when in reality it's a lifelong process. When you affirm that you are still becoming, you give yourself grace. You stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. You embrace the journey, the progress, the unfolding, and you realize that strength is not in being perfect. It's in continuing to grow, no matter how long it takes. These 9 reminders, spoken daily, are not just words. They are anchors. They are shields. They are weapons. They are the foundation of a mindset that will carry you through every battle. Say them until they stop sounding like words and start feeling like truth. Say them until they no longer feel like something you're trying to believe, but something you already are. Because when your self-talk changes, your life changes. And every morning you get to choose that change. When we talk about daily reminders and affirmations, they can sound powerful in theory, but the real impact comes when you connect them to life itself. Stories give them flesh. Stories take an idea and make it real. They show us how these truths actually play out when things get hard, when life tests us, when nothing is simple. And I want you to think about this. Every moment of your life, you've been telling yourself a story. The words in your head are not random. They are chapters you keep writing over and over. The question is whether you're writing a story of strength or one of defeat. Take, for example, someone who has faced rejection. Maybe it's a job interview. Maybe it's a relationship that ended. Maybe it's an opportunity that slipped away. In that moment, the world feels like it's screaming, you're not good enough. And if the person chooses to believe that story, they start shrinking. They stop trying. They begin living smaller than they were meant to. But imagine instead, after that rejection, they stop and say to themselves, I can handle what comes my way. This is not the end of my story. This is only a chapter. That one reminder shifts the meaning of the event. Instead of it being proof of their failure, it becomes proof of their resilience. The event doesn't change, but the story they tell themselves about it does, and that makes all the difference. Or think about discipline. We all know what it feels like to wake up and not want to do the thing we promised ourselves we'd do. Maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's working on a project, maybe it's making a difficult call. In that moment, the easy story is, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't feel like it today. That story feels safe, but it's poison. It repeats until tomorrow never comes. Now picture someone in that same moment, but they've already planted the reminder. Deep inside, I choose discipline over excuses. They hear their own voice, not the voice of comfort. They drag themselves out of bed. They do the work, and afterward they feel the reward. The difference wasn't willpower. It was the story they chose to believe. Let me give you a more personal angle. Think about a time you went through heartbreak. Maybe someone betrayed you, left you, or disappointed you in a way you didn't see coming. It's easy, in that pain, to start telling yourself, I'm not lovable, I'm not enough, maybe it's me. That story digs into the soul and stays there if you let it. But the truth is, the actions of another person do not determine your worth. When you remind yourself daily, I don't need validation to know my worth. Heartbreak becomes something different. It hurts, yeah, but it doesn't define you. You can leave the relationship with your dignity intact, because you've told yourself a stronger story than the one your pain is whispering. I remember once hearing about a soldier who had gone through unimaginable difficulty during training, brutal days, sleepless nights, physical exhaustion. What separated those who quit from those who made it through wasn't physical strength. It was the story they told themselves during the suffering. Some said, I can't do this. I'm not cut out for it, and they quit. Others said, one more step, one more day, I can handle what comes my way. And those words carried them through pain. Their bodies thought they couldn't endure. Their story became their survival. Here's another example. People who grow up in tough environments may be surrounded by negativity, doubt, even abuse. The world around them keeps telling them, you'll never make it out. You're just like everyone else here. And if they believe that story, they stay stuck. But I've seen people who choose a different reminder. I refuse to shrink for anyone. I am not limited by where I come from. They carry that line like a torch. And against the odds, they rise. They build a different life, not because the environment changed, but because their story did. Even something as simple as peace. How often do people lose control over the smallest things? A rude comment, a driver cutting them off, a stranger's opinion online. The story they choose is, I have to fight back, I have to prove something, I have to defend myself. And before they know it, their whole day is stolen by someone else's negativity. But when you tell yourself, my peace is my power, I control my reactions, not the world, suddenly that small offense doesn't deserve your energy. You keep your calm, you stay in control, and that decision, repeated day after day, builds a life that is stable no matter how chaotic the world gets. We see this in sports all the time. The difference between the athlete who folds under pressure and the one who performs at their best isn't talent, it's self-talk. One says, I can't miss. I've done this before. I am stronger than I feel right now. The other says, what if I fail? What if I blow it? Both stories may last only seconds, but they shape the outcome of the entire game. That's the power of the story you tell yourself in the critical moments. And then there's the reminder, I am still becoming, and that is my strength. This story is vital for anyone who feels behind in life. Maybe you're looking at others, thinking, they're further ahead than me. They've achieved more. I'm not where I should be. That comparison is toxic. But the reminder that you are still becoming reframes everything. You're not behind. You're in progress. And progress is strength. Every small step forward is proof that you're not stuck. You're not done. You're still moving. That's a story worth repeating every single day. When you take all these examples together, one truth becomes clear. Life is less about what happens to you and more about the story you tell yourself about what happens. The same event can crush one person and build another. The difference isn't luck, it's self-talk. It's the reminders you've planted deep in your mind long before the moment came. And when you choose to tell yourself stories of strength, of peace, of worth, of discipline, of growth, those stories don't just stay in your head. They shape your actions. They shape your future. They shape who you become. Every journey, every story, every transformation has a point where it demands a decision. This is that moment. You've heard the truth. You've seen how words shape reality, how the voice inside you is either your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. And now you stand at a choice. Will you walk out of here and let the same old patterns run your life? Or will you take control of the one thing that no one can ever take from you? Your voice, your self-talk, your daily reminder. The world isn't going to slow down. It isn't going to get easier. It isn't going to suddenly line up in your favor. Life will keep throwing challenges at you, sometimes small and sometimes earth-shattering. People will continue to doubt you, criticize you, even try to tear you down. That won't change. But what can change, what must change, is how you face it. And that begins with the words you speak to yourself every single day. Think about this. Before the world gets a chance to tell you who you are, you have already spoken. You've already declared your identity, your strength, your truth. When you wake up and you say, I am stronger than I feel. My peace is my power. I don't need validation. I choose discipline over excuses. I can handle what comes my way. I refuse to shrink for anyone. I learn from yesterday, but I live today. I control my reactions, not the world. I am still becoming, and that is my strength. You have already won the first battle. You have already set the tone for your day. No matter what comes, you walk into it, armored, steady, unshakable. And don't think for a second that these are just words. Words become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. When you speak strength long enough, you stop pretending. You start living it. When you repeat courage daily, fear no longer controls you. When you declare discipline every morning, excuses stop having power. This is not motivation that fades when the video ends. This is transformation, but only if you commit to it. So here's the challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to make this your practice. Before you check your phone, before you let the outside world in, speak these 9 truths out loud. Don't whisper them. Don't mumble them like you're not sure. Say them with conviction. Say them until you feel them. Say them until they stop sounding like something you want to believe and start sounding like something you already know. And then watch what happens. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how your perspective shifts. Watch how situations that used to break you no longer move you. Watch how you begin to live with a strength that surprises even you. But let me be clear, it won't happen overnight. Some days you'll say the words and still feel weak. Some mornings you'll repeat the reminders and still battle doubt. That's part of the process. You don't lift a weight once and expect to be strong. You train, you repeat, you show up day after day. Affirmations are no different. They are mental training. And the stronger you want to be, the more consistent you have to be. The key is not perfection, it's persistence. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the world to validate your decision. You don't need someone to hold your hand and cheer you on. You have everything you need already inside you. Your voice is enough. Your belief is enough. Your commitment is enough. The moment you decide, truly decide, that these words will define you, your life begins to shift. And nothing, no one, no circumstance can take that away. So as you leave here, I want you to remember this. Your life is not shaped by what happens to you. It is shaped by the story you tell yourself about what happens. And you get to choose that story every single day. You can choose the story of doubt, fear, excuses, weakness. Or you can choose the story of strength, peace, discipline, worth, and growth. Both stories are available to you, but only one will lead you to the life you were meant to live. The decision is yours. And it starts not tomorrow, not next week, not someday when life feels easier. It starts today. It starts the moment you open your mouth and declare who you are. Because once you do, the world has no choice but to respond to the strength you've already spoken. So here's my final call to you. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop handing your power away. Every morning, before the noise of the world, remind yourself of these 9 truths. Make them your ritual. Make them your foundation. Make them the words you live by. Because the voice you hear the most is your own. And it's time that voice spoke life, not death. Strength, not fear. Growth, not defeat. Say it until you believe it. Believe it until you live it. Live it until it becomes who you are. And when it does, you'll realize the truth that has been waiting for you all along. You are stronger than you know, braver than you imagine, and becoming more powerful every single day. The world may try to tell you otherwise, but your voice, the one you choose each morning, will always have the final word. Every day you wake up, you are given 2 choices. Let the world decide who you are, or decide it for yourself. One path leaves you at the mercy of doubt, criticism, and circumstances. The other path gives you control, strength, and clarity. Those 9 reminders are not just words. They are your armor, your compass, and your foundation. They are proof that you can rise above fear, above noise, above anything meant to break you. The truth is, no one else can fight this battle for you. No one else can speak life into your spirit the way you can. And if you don't do it, the world will gladly fill the silence with lies, with negativity, with reasons to quit. That's why you must speak. That's why you must remind yourself every single day of who you are and what you're capable of. So carry this with you. You are stronger than you feel. Your peace is your power. You don't need validation to know your worth. Discipline will take you further than excuses ever could, and you can handle anything that comes your way. Never shrink for anyone. Learn from yesterday, but live today. Control your reactions when you cannot control the world, and always remember, you are still becoming, and that is your greatest strength. Make this your daily practice, your daily declaration. And when life tests you, and it will, you won't just survive. You'll stand, you'll endure, and you'll overcome. Because the most powerful voice you will ever hear is the one you choose to use. Speak strength, live strength, be strength.